Donald Trump, who was indicted last week by a Manhattan grand jury and is the first former president in history to be charged with a crime, is traveling to New York this week in preparation for his anticipated arraignment on Tuesday. The expected voluntary surrender of a former president and 2024 presidential candidate will be a singular event in many ways, both for the Manhattan District Attorney's Office and the New York courthouse where he will be arraigned, as well as for a nation watching to see how it will affect the GOP presidential primary. Following an indictment that implicated him and his advisors, CNN reported Sunday night that the former president has maintained a surprisingly calm demeanor while playing golf and considering how to use it to advance his campaign. Trump is charged with more than 30 counts of business fraud, but the indictment is still secret. In relation to his alleged involvement in a cover-up and hush money payment scheme involving adult film star Stormy Daniels that dates to the 2016 presidential election, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office has been looking into Trump. Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan District Attorney, has already come under attack from Trump and his allies. A speech scheduled for Tuesday night at Mar-a-Lago will likely give Trump more ammunition to assert that he is the target of political persecution. According to a source familiar with his plans, Trump is anticipated to depart Florida on Monday around noon Eastern Time and arrive at New York's LaGuardia Airport around 3 p.m. Eastern Time. The source stated that the former president will spend Monday night at Trump Tower and that he plans to leave New York as soon as the arraignment on Tuesday is over in order to return to Florida. However, even before he makes an appearance, Trump's presence will be felt in the Manhattan courthouse on Tuesday, as all trials and the majority of other court proceedings have been suspended. For Trump's anticipated appearance, the Secret Service, the New York Police Department, and the court officers are coordinating security. Trump is scheduled to go to the district attorney's office with the Secret Service in the early afternoon. The investigators will book Trump, which includes taking his fingerprints. A mug shot would typically be taken. However, given that Trump's appearance is well known and authorities were worried about the photo being improperly leaked, which would be against state law, sources familiar with the preparations were unsure if a mug shot would be taken. Before being arraigned, defendants are frequently booked after being arrested and held in cells close to the courtroom. But with Trump, that won't happen. After the former president has finished being processed, he will be brought to the floor with the courtroom via elevators and a back set of hallways. Then he will emerge into a public hallway and enter the courtroom. Trump won't likely be restrained because he will be shielded from harm by armed federal agents. This is obviously different. Nothing like this has ever occurred. The Secret Service has never participated in an arraignment at 100 Center Street before, according to Trump attorney Joe Tacopina, who appeared on CNN's State of the Union on Sunday. Other than the fact that we will adamantly and proudly say not guilty on Tuesday, everything is still very much up in the air. The indictment will be unsealed, and Trump will formally answer to the charges in the courtroom by the end of the day. Trump will almost certainly be released on his own recognizance following his arraignment. Conditions being placed on his travel are conceivable, but perhaps unlikely. A defendant who is free typically exits through the front doors, but the Secret Service will want to restrict Trump's public appearances. Trump is therefore anticipated to return to his motorcade after the court hearing by walking through the main hallway once more and then through the back hallways to the district attorney's office. Then he'll go to the airport to return to Mar-a-Lago, where he has a public event scheduled for that evening. Can I watch the arraignment on television? A number of media organizations, including CNN, have requested that the indictment be made public and that they be allowed to broadcast Trump's upcoming court appearance on Tuesday. Among the publications making the request are the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and the Washington Post. The news organizations wrote in the letter that they are making this limited request for audio-visual coverage in order to ensure that the operations of the court will not be disrupted. They are asking for a limited number of photographers, videographers, and radio journalists to be present at the arraignment. The indictment is anticipated to be made public when Trump appears in court, if the judge denies the media outlet's request to have it unsealed. Who is the presiding judge? Juan Merchan, the judge, is no stranger to Trump's circle. The Trump Organization tax fraud trial was presided over by Merchan, an acting New York Supreme Court justice, who also presided over the criminal fraud case involving former advisor Steve Bannon, and sentenced Allen Weisselberg, a close confidant of Trump, to prison. Attorneys who have testified before Merchan told CNN that he does not tolerate delays or interruptions, and that even when his cases receive a lot of media attention, he is known for keeping order in the courtroom. Timothy Parleter, a lawyer for Trump, said that Merchan was not easy on him when he tried a case in front of him, but that he will probably be fair. I've previously tried a case in front of him. He might be a brawler. I don't believe it will necessarily affect his capacity to weigh the evidence and the law in this case, according to Parleter. How might Trump's team respond to the allegations? The ex-president will enter a not guilty plea, Tacopina said in a statement to CNN's Dana Bash on Sunday. Tacopina promised that his team will look at every possible issue that we will be able to challenge, and we will challenge. The Trump legal team's core strategy might center on contesting the case, because it might be based on accounting entries that prosecutors linked to hush money payments to Daniels made 7 years ago, past the criminal case's statute of limitations. The statute of limitations may have expired, according to Tacopina, who also claimed that the Trump businesses didn't submit false information in TV interviews on Sunday. According to Tacopina, Trump's legal team is not currently considering asking to have the case transferred to a different borough of New York City. In another interview on Sunday, he told ABC's George Stephanopoulos, "There's been absolutely no discussion of that. Until we have a thorough understanding of the indictment and have dealt with the legal issues, it is way too early to start worrying about venue changes." According to sources close to Trump, his political advisors were actively debating over the weekend how to best capitalize on the indictment they have characterized as a political hoax and witch hunt. His team has spent the past few days showing the former president polls that demonstrate a growing advantage over Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who is presently regarded as Trump's biggest 2024 opponent. And according to his team, more than $5 million has been raised since he was charged on Thursday. Trump has remained surprisingly composed and focused in the days leading up to his court appearance, CNN's Kristen Holmes reported, despite the initial shock of the indictment. The former president appears to have saved his rage for his social media account, as he has intensified his criticism of Bragg and issued threats. Numerous Trump supporters, detractors, and potential rivals in the 2024 Republican presidential primary have attacked Bragg in a similar way both before and after the indictment. Asa Hutchinson, a former governor of Arkansas and a Republican, reiterated his call for Trump to withdraw from the race after learning that he was charged with a crime on Sunday. "The workplace is more significant than any one person. Therefore, I do believe that's too much of a sideshow and distraction for the sake of the presidency," Hutchinson said in an interview with ABC News. "He must be able to focus on his legal proceedings."